We're going to be in for a tantalising affair. 17 laps, 30 minutes max ahead of us here for this third race of the weekend at the Budapest circuit. 4.381 kilometres lies in wait to the driver on this very technical track. 14 corners, as we said. Lots of opportunity down towards turn one with heavy braking zones and certainly corners that would test the driver's ability to manage the tyres. It certainly is going to be a very interesting one, to say the least. Obviously, earlier on in the weekend, we witnessed Noel Leone take a win this weekend to pretty much add up to his tally. He, of course, adding numbers after numbers to his conglomerate. But then it was quickly followed up by Bryce Aaron taking a win as well this weekend, making it his second win of the season to boot. But it has been an impressive display from the likes of Juju Noda, who certainly brought plenty to the table, with Josh Mason picking up a second podium of the weekend as well in our previous race. My name is, of course, George Morgan, your commentator here in the Euroformula Open Championship, and joining me as always is the one, the only, the dynamic, the stellar Chris Stevens. How are you doing, Chris?
Oh, all the better for all your adjectives, George. You always treat me so well in here. Yes, very much looking forward to the third and final race of the Euroformula Open. We have two rookies on the front row in this reverse grid race, the second reverse grid race of the weekend. This one being taken from the qualifying results, which is the top six reverse. So Noel Leone, the pole sitter, and indeed our race one winner, starts from sixth. And we have Jakob Bergmeister starting on reverse grid pole, the 17-year-old from Solingen in Germany, a fourth generational racing talent. You might be familiar with his uncle Jörg Bergmeister, who of course was a Porsche Works driver, taking multiple Le Mans class wins, but his father and his grandfather also raced as well. And Jakob Bergmeister only in his, still in his first season of single-seater racing, having graduated from UAE F4 this year. So definitely being thrown in the deep end here. But of course, we've been talking an awful lot about the young woman who he is sharing the front row with, which is Juju Noda. That car then, the number 10 Noda Racing entry, the 17-year-old from Osaka in Japan, who has been on fine form this weekend, building up her confidence and building up her speed compared to the first two rounds of the championship in Portimao and at Spa. And she was very quick in qualifying, fought for the pole position before settling for fifth place, and this morning took her first podium finish as well, after a very, very close fight with Josh Mason for second place. So now I'm very keen to see what she can do from the front row of the grid.
Yeah, didn't have the easiest of starts in our second race, and did have to end up to be obviously, you know, moved up the field. Obviously, she was trying her best. She spun the tyres off the grid, and unfortunately came unstuck in that procedure as well. There is Francesco Simonazzi. He'll be looking for a better response today as well. A lot of wheel play in his driving. We've enjoyed watching it, and again with a wave and a love heart. Great to see you, Francesco. Let's see what you can do in race 3. And BVM, I'm sure Giuseppe Mazzotti and himself would have gone through the last race and discussed the data. Cian Shields there as well, grid position 5 for this one. Obviously coming off the last race, wasn't able to actually start on the grid after the car stalled as such. Haven't heard as to what the issue necessarily was, but did end up starting from the pit lane as Noel Leone starts grid position 6.
Yes, I believe it was an issue with the starter motor on his car that caused him to not move anywhere from the grid in this morning's race. So a real shame for him, and then of course had to take a penalty because the team had to intervene and push the car into the pit lane, which of course contradicts the rule that you're not allowed to work on the car once the 1 minute board has been shown. So he had to take an additional bit of pain there. But Noel Leone, you mentioned, starting in 6th place, and this morning he was running a mixed set of tyres. So he had new tyres on the left-hand side and older used tyres on the right-hand side, which might explain why he didn't make quite as much forward progress as we expected. But in this race, he's got 4 sticker sets, as we like to say, of Pirellis on his car.
Yeah, certainly does as well. We just get a view there of Vladimir Netashil. He's obviously looking to recover. Obviously what happened in this very race. Highlights as well from race 1 and 2 as the cars came together. Of course, it would be the lead advantage going to that of none other than Cian Shields, who made his way out of turn 1, but Noel Leon would very quickly retake the lead of the race at the very early get-go. Of course, the Mexican chasing yet another win this season. It has been a strong build-up to this moment in time for Noel Leon. He came across the line at the very end, capturing his 3rd race win of the season. After that race as well, action-packed as it was, race 2 got certainly off to a very crazy start. Juju Noda a little bit tricky from the getaway, trying to close off the inside from threat. Francesco Simonazzi also trying to make a move around the outside, just did not quite have the speed in order to encounter it straight line-wise. Josh Mason, though, however, broke away from the defensive efforts from Juju Noda, moved up into 2nd as well, and predominantly defended that position right through. But it was all about this young man, Bryce Aaron, who would cross the line and take his 2nd win of the season. And this is what it's done to the championship. At the very top, Noel Leon has extended his advantage at the top to 36 points. Bryce Aaron now into 2nd ahead of Francesco Simonazzi, who came into the weekend in that 2nd spot in 3rd now, and Cian Shields in 4th. Josh Mason in 5th after 2 successful podium visits already this weekend. And I tell you what, you wouldn't write him off from doing a 3rd here, Chris.
No, I certainly wouldn't, especially with the paces shown. So far this weekend, we've seen the pole sitters get the clean run into turn 1 and then scarper off down the road, building rather handsome leads. So I wonder if that's going to be the plan for Jakob Bergmeister. Now, so far as well this weekend, we saw Noel Leon not get off the line very well from pole position. And they did come under pressure as well. And then we saw Noda spin the wheels up this morning as well. But here's the grid, George. Yeah,
Jakob Bergmeister starts from pole position alongside Juju Noda for the 2nd race running on the front row. Josh Mason in 3rd with Francesco Simonazzi in 4th as well. In P5, that goes to Cian Shields, who lines up alongside Noel Leon from Team Motorpark, bidding to become twice a race winner this weekend. Bryce Aaron looking to take his 2nd as well, starting from P7 on the grid, alongside out of hometown hero Benjamin Berta, as Vladimir Nettershil bids for another run at the Gold Cup here in this race too. Obviously looking to try and recover after his spin in the earlier race. Of course, race 2 happening earlier on today, this morning. But now, as you can see, different set of affairs. The sun's still beaming down here. Conditions have not changed. We've had a very fortunate weekend. We haven't had any rain whatsoever. It's been a really pleasant atmosphere. Plenty of fans in the grandstands as well watching on, and plenty of spectators in terms of the garages as well, as the teams look to cheer on their talents behind the wheel. But there you can see the cars all lined up. Certainly the garage crews will very soon clear away, obviously, the umbrellas on the drivers to maintain a cool temperature for them, because imagine having a big heavy race suit on. Obviously not ideal when the sun's beaming down on you.
Yeah, fireproof layer, the thick overalls as well. It's something like 3 layers they have to wear to be compliant with the safety regulations, of course, and for good reason. But it does mean it gets rather hot in those cars, and I think they'll actually be thankful for when they are allowed to get going again, because it means they'll be getting some air through their visors at least a little bit. But you can hear engines being fired up. We're about to go for a formation lap.
Yeah, we certainly are. Juju Noda there on P2 front row, and we'll be looking for a better getaway as opposed to what she had in the race we had earlier on. Of course, race 2, where she was on the front row as well. Still came away though with a 3rd place finish. So we see Timo Rumpfkeel fresh from his race in the International GT Open. Of course, team boss at Motorpark as well. So he'll be hoping for a big weekend for them. As the spectators now watch on, you can hear the revving of the engines. I'm looking outside my commentary box window, and indeed the grid has cleared away. Obviously the garage, the crews, and everyone peeling off and getting set for the 3rd race of the Euroformula Open Championship race weekend. And it will be Jakob Bergmeister leading them off. So it's the 2 rookies taking them away here, Chris.
Indeed it is. And that rookie class has been very closely contested, although Juju Noda starting to peel away a little bit. Now my heart skipped a beat there for Jakob Bergmeister, as he wasn't quite off the line as quick as Juju Noda for the formation lap. And it wouldn't be the first time that Jakob Bergmeister's come unstuck on the formation lap. Indeed, his very first race in the championship, there was a stuck throttle on his car that stopped him even finishing the formation lap and taking the start for his first race in the championship. But he's up to speed now. and all looking good as they have a last effort to build some tyre temperature. And of course, they have to manage these tyres. Teams are telling me that their performance is gone within the first 5 laps. These races are 17 laps, so they've really got to manage them.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely right indeed. I tell you what, that start is exactly what Juju Noda would have wanted, you know, at the very get-go.
Yes, exactly.
In comparison to the one she had earlier on this morning. So let's wait and see whether she can pull that off. Obviously, she'll know a little bit more about it now. I'm sure they would have analysed that start in the garage too, and perhaps come up with a few solutions and, you know, tailored some ideas for Juju to obviously get herself set off the line in a fashion that could help her essentially get a big result in this race. There is Francesco Simonazzi, of course, a multi-time race winner now in this series, also a multi-time podium sitter as well at this point too. Has come off the back of successful runs last season where he took his first win in Austria at Red Bull Ring. Now more to come from the Italian, but has lost that crucial second place in the championship, and it's since gone to our race winner from race 2, that being Bryce Aaron.
Yes, and Bryce Aaron lining up 7th for this one. It wasn't a stellar qualifying for him, really, so he's really got some work to do to try and repeat his race 2 heroics. I'm looking at Josh Mason, though, George, because so far this weekend he's finished 3rd, then 2nd. There's only one place higher that he can go. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, he's done absolutely everything bar win this weekend. P3 and a P2. P1 would be absolutely superb for him, and I'm sure the team at Rivcar would like it too. Obviously, the Crypto Tower team that housed Josh Mason last year in the championship, where he shared the team with the likes of Christian Mansell, who would go on to take up a seat in Formula 3 this season, and is doing very well there too, including having his very first home race at Australia at the Albert Park track, and he very much enjoyed that when I caught up with Christian a matter of weeks ago. But as we now see the cars make their way through turn 13 now, there's Simonazzi just getting himself teed up for the last time, obviously trying to get these tyres spun up to temperature. We saw that might have been a factor in race 2 as well. Tyres that weren't necessarily up to temp, or maybe too hot in places, and that's where the lockups do come in.
Yeah, Simonazzi in particular, I think, struggled with that a little bit with his very flamboyant driving style. And he seems to put quite a bit of stress into the car, but it produces results because he's pretty much in the championship fight.
Yeah, he certainly is. And there we can see now Jakob Bergmeister about to grid. And looking outside my window, he's getting into his bay. Perfectly positioned as well. Juju Noda alongside in grid position 2. There's now all the cars line up in tandem, grid spot by grid spot. The fans watching on expectantly to see who comes out on top in this particular event. Up to the line comes Benjamin Berter in his home race as well. A quick thumbs up to the sidewall as now the green flags wave. Here come the lights. All 5 lights are lit, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Juju Noda had again a little bit of stumble at the start, once again reduced to P3, because in comes Josh Mason, yet again a carbon copy of what happened before, but entering Simonazzi, who now has the inside line into turn 1. Oh, outside line once again as we have more cars coming through. They still remain wheel to wheel. Juju Noda still trying to defend the place, but I think she might come unstuck now as we also have a fight for the lead, but still it's Bergmeister out in front, still being pursued by Josh Mason. An electric start as Juju Noda holds on to 3rd place.
I mean, that was a truly lightning start by Josh Mason. Picked off Juju Noda almost immediately, who still had the wheel spin there, and it is Mason leading. Confirmation on the timing there, so he got it right round the outside. Brilliant move, and Kian Shields was also pressuring Noda for a spot on the podium as well. But Josh Mason, stunning start, leads this race.
Yeah, he did in fact take Jakob Bergmeister as well. Simonazzi also under a lot of pressure too as they come together. Obviously Noel Leone in the mix of all this. Of course, Leone, championship leader, multiple race winner, once again started to rise up through the ranks, and he's now giving chase onto the cars ahead of him. Of course, Kian Shields being made up of that as well as he chases after Juju Noda to that 3rd spot. But fantastic start for Josh Mason, who's obviously already taken 3rd and 2nd, as we alluded to prior. He might be on for this race win.
Yeah, and now he's going to try and emulate what Noel Leon and Bryce Aaron did in the previous 2 races. That is absolutely check out at the front of the field. Now he's got Clean Air in the lead as well. Already got 3/4 of a second near enough on Jakob Bergmeister in second place, who still leads Noda by a few tenths of a second. Kian Shields holding 4th place there, didn't manage to quite find a way through, and Noel Leon's picked up a place as well, as Simonazzi's down to 6th.
Yeah, certainly will do, and already you can see the gap starting to formulate. Jakob Bergmeister is still in second. Of course, this would be a great result for him as well if he can bring some serious points home, but Juju Noda still in hot pursuit. She is leading the rookie championship, so she'll very much want to get ahead, and also she could potentially chase her second podium of the season as well. Simonazzi getting a little out of shape as he makes his way through turn 2, turn 3, coming up next as well. A little twitchy on that BVM car yet again. Might be something in the setup, perhaps, not quite sure, as we now see Josh Mason peel through turn 4. There's Noda, who's now making her way through towards turn 5, in the rear view of that of Bergmeister, but watch out for Kian Shields, who, despite, obviously, the issues he had in the previous race, he is still very much a fast driver.
Yellow flags out at turn 2, and it looks like Vladimir Netashil, indeed he has gone for another spin. He had a rotation down at turn 7 this morning, but this time a little quicker to get back underway again, and we'll have green flags waving at turn 2 again shortly.
Yeah, Josh Mason also with the fastest lap of the race, as you'd expect. 1:40 to Minazzi. Should I say fastest sector 2, I should say. Fastest sector 1 going to Bryce Aaron, of course, our race winner in race 2. You know, see the cars now make their way out of that hairpin section, heading through the final corner now. And car 21, Josh Mason going to check out, still prosaically rising now. Timo Rumpkeil was watching to see if Mason can bring it home up once again, like he has done in the past. Did it last season, of course, did take race wins, and was, like I said, partnering the likes of Christian Mansell in his fight in the championship too, as we're now seeing them make their way through turn 1 already again. Kian Shields with Noel Leon starting to gain as well. The Mexican obviously looking to chase for yet another podium. There we see Juju Noda in the background as well, still on the tail of Jakob Bergmeister. The gap though equilateral between the top 4.
Yes, and Josh Mason, the race leader, not checking out in the same form that Bryce Aaron and Noel Leon did in the previous 2 races. The gap is only 0.6 of a second, and last time round the 2 cars behind him, Bergmeister and Noda, the 2 rookies, were slightly faster than him, only by a tenth or 2. But it looks like, George, we've got a race on our hands.
We certainly do, and Mason has got to do his utmost. Remember, he was coming under a convincing amount of pressure from Juju Noda in our previous race. Of course, Juju being hampered by her race starts here at this point, but what she does during the race is fantastic. She stays within the delta of the car ahead, still progressively tracking Jakob Bergmeister. I did get a chance to speak to her earlier on as well, folks. We had an interview with her, and you can catch those words, I'm sure, very soon as well on the website, as well as that of the Euroformula Open social media channels as well. And Juju Noda, who has certainly been an encapsulating figure, of course, throughout this championship inspired career as well, obviously after a participation in W Series in 2022. And now looking to try and enlist against these fellow drivers here in this championship as she makes her way down through towards turn 1 again, chasing after fellow rookie driver Jakob Bergmeister.
Yeah, amazing, the 2 rookies sitting in 2nd and 3rd overall there. 4.5 seconds pretty much covers that entire field of 8 cars. And even less than that, it's about 3 seconds covering the top 7, which is this gaggle of cars that we are looking at, from Josh Mason all the way down to Bryce Aaron there. Benjamin Berta about 1.4 off the back of that train as well. So super close stuff. We'll see if anybody actually manages to find a way through, because there's so little separating these drivers at the moment.
Yeah, very little indeed. All of them within a second. Oleon getting closer and closer to Kian Shields. The gap now at 0.3 of a second. Simonazzi 0.3 behind Leon as well, so we could yet see a little bit more. Bryce Aaron still holding on to the fastest lap too, and Simonazzi fastest in the speed trap, heading down the long straight into the braking zone. And they're starting to break away now. Shields with a little bit of a gap of 0.7 to find on Juju Noda.
Oh.
So they're all coming wide again. Simonazzi, almost a carbon copy of what we saw earlier this weekend, Chris. In comes now, pouncing that of Bryce Aaron, race winner earlier on this weekend, earlier on today, who's now trying to extremely rise up to the occasion against Ella Simonazzi, who now tries to fight him back, heading out of turn 13, 14 next, but the inside line for Bryce Aaron will prove very useful indeed before they make their way down the straight. Simonazzi, refusing to let go, is going to have the toe, heading down through towards turn 1. Now we see the BBM car right on that rear wing. Bryce Aaron going defensive to the inside as well as they head down through towards turn 1. The luminous yellow on the front end of Simonazzi's car now looking to track itself around the outside. They make contact wheel to wheel, and now trying to recover out off the escape road of turn 1. Side-by-side action further up as well between that of Shields and Leon. Another contact there between them for 4th place.
Yeah, Leon just tagged his front wing there against the rear tyre of Kian Shields. So multiple battles unfolding there. It was great side-by-side between Simonazzi and Leon trying to go around the outside of 4. Unbelievable. Those fresh tyres working very well for him indeed as he's pushing Shields in the braking zone of turn 5, and already Bryce Aaron and Simonazzi are on the back of this tail. And look how much time they've lost. All this squabbling has not cost them. Simonazzi trying to get up on the inside, no way through there.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like there was a real collision of front wings there. It looked like it was so close. He very nearly damaged it. Coming up through the middle sector now, and they're all trying to fight for position. And Simonazzi again looking all over round the outside as they come together still. And this battle's starting to really heat up between these drivers. Bryce Aaron as well, very forcibly defending, trying to keep Simonazzi at bay. Coming together though, still continuing this fight. Bryce Aaron doing enough to keep the Italian from making the key overtake.
I mean, in that one lap, they've lost 3 seconds to Juju Noda in 3rd place. Here it is again. So this is the contact between Simonazzi and Aaron. Simonazzi's already been off the track at this point, and then a little just wheel edge to wheel edge contact there. This is Shields and Leon. Leon tries to get the undercut.
There was contact.
Yeah, definitely. Leon trying to get the undercut through too, and just misjudged the length of his front wing there ever so slightly. But both of them lucky to get away with no damage. Shields no puncture, and Leon, that front wing is still intact.
Yeah, we saw the reaction there from the BBM garage. Giuseppe Mazzotti watching on pensively just to see what Francesco can do. Of course, they have had successes in this championship and looking to try and chase for more. Obviously, Simonazzi, a very capable driver behind the wheel. With all this fighting, Juju Noda has now been given some breathing room in behind, and this has allowed her to attack Jakob Bergmeister for 2nd place. She is right up in behind him now, and Simonazzi still trying to gain on Bryce Aaron. This is far from done. And what has that done to the tyres as well, Chris?
Well, they're going to be pushing them an awful lot more than they were certainly hoping to, and all this running off the track isn't going to be doing them any favours as well. And we're just entering sort of the end of the peak performance of that tyre, which was about 5 laps, I'm told. So they're going to be starting to struggle a little bit for overall grip, and they'll have to be managing it throughout the remainder of the race. But still, only 1.1 seconds covers the top 3, because Bergmeister's only 0.8 of a second behind Mason there, and Juju Noda continuing to pile on the pressure on that 2nd place car.
Yeah, 2.9 seconds now between Shields and Noda, so that gap has really drawn out, and that does give her a chance, obviously, to try and focus her efforts, obviously, on Jakob Bergmeister, and she is trying to gain on here. Of course, we saw the effects of the slipstream in race 2. Obviously, Noda will be looking to try and achieve the very same thing this time, hoping as well for better results. So this time, Simonazzi still gaining on Aaron as they come in towards turn 1, not making the move just yet, perhaps just managing the tyres still, just getting them down to the right temperature, because no doubt when they ran wheel to wheel and obviously made contact as such, that might well have just overheated them slightly, and he'll have to calm them down and get ready to go again.
Noli on with the fastest lap of the race at 36.939. He's done that while following Kian Shields very closely as well. So still some good raw pace in that number 19 Motor Park Run machine. But he's got quite a bit of time to catch up now for the podium battle as well. It's all sort of settled down a little bit after that lap of calamities and contacts and dramas. And just filing back into formation, and Noli on there getting a warning for track limits at turn 11, so he's got to make sure he keeps it clean throughout the remaining 11 laps of this race. But there's the top 3, separated only by 1.2 seconds at the moment. Juju Noda piling on the pressure on Jakob Bergmeister. I think this will be Bergmeister's first podium of the season as well, if he can hold this off as well.
Yeah, it would be a huge result for him, obviously in the context of this campaign. course, he's in the rookie championship fight as well, as he looks to try and usurp Juju Noda. Of course, if he does stay ahead of her, obviously that does mean he gets more points, which will obviously offset to a degree that of the lead of Juju Noda, but still there will be plenty of work to do as they head down in towards turn 1. The gap as well, still large there, and a very deep dive as well as they go wide, heading out wide. Of course, Kian Shields in the mix of this with Noel Leone. These two coming together yet again. Of course, Noel Leone, who has been very, very fast, has now allowed an opening here around the outside here in towards turn 2. Leone looking to chase. They make their way now out of turn 2. Turn 3 coming up as well. This has also brought Bryce Aaron into the mix and dragging along Francesco Simonazzi too. This is far from over, Chris.
Absolutely. Remember, Noel Leone's got 4 new tyres on that car, so he should have a little bit of a pace advantage. It's not helped to get past Kian Shields just yet, but it's certainly helping him to stay right within the wheel tracks. And Simonazzi has another little dive up the inside into the chicane there, but nothing doing, and ends up probably losing a little bit of ground to Bryce Aaron there in the end.
Coming out now in towards sector 3, rumbling over the curbs, the scene of where Simonazzi would run off wide a little bit over that green strip as they now head through the next right and then sprint down towards the next one at turn 12. Of course, now they're in an orderly fashion, not necessarily throwing it in this time, but obviously we've got turn 1 coming up soon on the next lap, coming out of turn 13 into 14. And again, tracking each other as they make their way around. Francesco Simonazzi has Benjamin Berta now starting to bring himself into the group 2. Obviously, he's got quite a gap to make up, 1.2 seconds, which can be made up, obviously, given the fact that these 4 cars have been scrapping quite a lot already during the course of this race. We're now nearing the halfway point at this stage now. Juju Noda now looking in the mirrors, this time of Jakob Bergmeister, sensing opportunities here in, well, coming down into the final half of the race and coming out of turn 1 in towards turn 2. She looks menacing in behind the wheel, down the inside now again as she has another look, this time on Bergmeister, who leaves the door wide open as she heads through turn 2, turn 3, side by side. Noda still not quite able to do it, but they got the climb up through towards turn 4. She'll stay behind, but obviously a statement of intent from Juju Noda.
Yeah, man, that would have been brave stuff to go right around the outside of turn 3, but yeah, Bergmeister kind of wandered wide in the middle of turn 2. Noda got the better run through the exit of the corner, just drew level, but would have been a real challenge to go around the outside of the subsequent right-hander. So Noda making the smart move there, I think, and just tucking back in behind Bergmeister, wait for another and a slightly better opportunity in the remaining 8.5 laps, which I'm sure will come.
As they say, patience is a virtue, not a privilege. Juju Noda really showing what she's capable of, though, behind the wheel of this Dallara 320 chassis, as featured in the Euroformula Open Championship now for quite some time. Of course, gracing the presence of many great champions, past and present. And certainly, over the course, we've seen Formula 1 driver after Formula 1 driver get involved. The likes of course, we had the likes of Yuki Tsunoda. What about the likes of Felipe Drugovich now, who's looking to get his start in Formula 1 soon as well? They make their way down the straight. Noda now 0.3 of a second away as they make their way down the stretch towards turn 1. Again, another opportunity perhaps in the hands of Noda as she gets really close to the back of Bergmeister's car. She knows what she can do. A little twitch though from the Noda Racing as the Noda Racing car as they make their way out to turn 1. They've got turn 2 coming up next. Still no move to be made, but just waiting patiently. She's got time. 8 laps still to go here in this race at Hungaroring.
Yeah, really pushing the limit of the braking there. Just a little twitch on the way into turn 1 and no way through to draw level at turns 2 and 3 this time. So Noda will continue following along in the wheel tracks there of Jakob Bergmeister. This squabbling not really helping them in terms of trying to keep track with the race leader, who's now pulled a 1 second advantage. Josh Mason looking very comfortable out at front.
Yeah, Mason looking in very much control. Obviously not necessarily the gap as we alluded to. The likes of Noel Leone posted earlier on, and of course Bryce Aaron earlier on this morning. Of course he advanced his charge out quite convincingly as well. Mason gaining 2 places off the start as well. And if it stays like this at this point, Mason won't only just walk away with the race win, but he'll also take the most overtakes points as well, should it stay like this. So great chance for him to get a little bit of a Brucey bonus, as they say, at this point.
Yes, and in terms of the other bonus point, Noel Leone gets that for the setting the fastest lap of the race, which is a 36.9 set at the moment. Here we go once again, and it's a carbon copy between Juju Noda and Jakob Bergmeister here, although I think Noda's looking just a little bit closer than she was last time around. It was 0.3 of a second. It's still 0.3 of a second-ish, but right in the slipstream here. Is she going to have a look up the inside? She certainly thought about it. Is that going to force Bergmeister into a mistake? No, it does not. So Juju Noda still sitting in that third place, but she's not giving up on it at all.
I think she was trying to throw a bit of indecision into Jakob Bergmeister, just slightly there, just making him making him force an error as such. But
distract him, because that's where you weave across and suddenly you appear in their mirrors and they go, oh!
Yeah, absolutely. They think all of a sudden, oh wow, there's a chance of a late break, but certainly Juju Noda trying to use everything she has at her disposal, every arsenal behind the wheel, obviously, in P3 right now. Jakob Bergmeister holding on to second, still chasing after Josh Mason. As a result, Bergmeister, though, doing a stellar job, staying in touch with Mason, and within a second as well, and has just posted the personal best in the first sector too, was not deterred by Noda's approaches.
Yeah, absolutely, and 0.2 faster than Josh Mason last time around as well, so the gap back under 1 second just about. So even though he's absorbing all that pressure from Noda and allowing himself to eke back towards the race leader as well, a very good middle sector there from Jakob Bergmeister. Actually, the gap now 3/4 of a second with just over 6 laps remaining now. We could well see that gap continue to close up. Maybe Jakob Bergmeister's got something up his sleeve, and I'll tell you, it pains me to say it because we don't know if Josh Mason's going to be doing any more rounds this season. He wasn't even supposed to be doing this round. It was a very late call up on Tuesday, I think it was, for him to come back and continue his campaign. Here comes Noda once again, looking much closer this time. This time she is going down the inside. This is for second place. Bergmeister's not going to take it lying down, though. He runs off the track. Surely he's going to lose momentum, but he will still have the line on the inside into turn 2. Noda's going to have to go the long way round, but she done it under braking. What a move! Juju Noda takes second place there.
And you hear the response as well. Juju Noda, the Japanese sensation as well. And certainly Noda Racing are going to be absolutely thrilled with that one. Delight on the pit wall as Juju Noda moves up into second place ahead of rookie counterpart Jakob Bergmeister. And this will, of course, advance her lead in the rookie standing.
Certainly will, and now she finally does. She's been lining that up for lap after lap after lap, and beautiful move, absolutely superb on the brakes around the outside.
Yeah, but can she gather to Josh Mason now as well? Wouldn't write this off, because of course they came together, and she's fastest down the long straight. She's putting together some stellar laps. Could we see something on our hands here? Let's compare it.
Oh.
Noda is fast. Oh!
Shields out very wide there, open door for Noleon to take the place, and now for Bryce Aaron to go right round the outside as well. A very costly error there from Kian Shields, because that's dropped him 2 places. And we got some contact there, and certainly with some tyres seem to be squealing, because Simonazzi trying to get round on Shields as well, and he has done so. So that one error has cost Kian Shields 3 places now. He's down to 7th place even, but just on Juju Noda, just on the fastest final sector as well, was 0.3 quicker than Josh Mason, our race leader. The gap is 3/4 of a second, 5 laps remaining. Here's the move again.
Yeah, heading up in towards turn 1. She timed it perfectly. She knew exactly when to make the move. I think the confidence in the car is growing for Juju Noda, and for good reason. There you can see a side-by-side, and despite the advances from Jakob Bergmeister, she really risked it heading through turn 2, left it late, but still and here's the response. Oh, you can't beat it, can you? This is what motorsport's all about. And just look at her. She's right on the tail of Josh Mason.
This is brilliant. So half a second between them. She's just done the fastest 3rd sector. She's now done the fastest 1st sector on the subsequent lap as well. Are we seeing history in the making here? Because Juju Noda could be about to take a monumental win if in these dying moments of this final race of the weekend, she can find her way past Josh Mason.
She took her first podium, of course, earlier on in the weekend. There is more in the tank here for Juju Noda. The gap is cascading downwards, and a personal best in the 2nd sector certainly helps stops as well, gaining yet another 10+ of a second on Josh Mason in Sector 2 to add to the Sector 1 purple time that she achieved as well. Could she get a fastest lap as well to boot? Could she get that point too as they work their way through the final corner at turn 14? She needs to get closer and closer to the back of Josh Mason's car as they now sprint down towards turn 1. Close proximity. She starts to gain. A 1:37.046 is the time she set on the previous lap. Down through towards turn 1 they go, and there you see it, all in graphics, over 2.5 tenths quicker than Mason on that previous run.
Yeah, and this is the replay of Cian Shields running very wide on the exit at turn 11 there. Noel Leon goes straight through, then Bryce Aaron right around the outside of the following corner. Simonazzi with the momentum as well. He went around the outside of turn 13 as well. So a very costly error there. Cian Shields down to 7th place, but let's keep an eye on the battle for the lead because Juju Noda has brought down the deficit even more. Now just 0.3 of a second separate these two cars. I don't think there'll be a way through for her in the remainder of this lap, but surely it's going to come at the first corner. It's the best overtaking opportunity on the track, and Josh Mason will not leave the door open for her.
No, not at all. I think she'll be patiently waiting for that long straight. She's got 4 laps to do this in at this point. Let's not forget as well, Chris, this we haven't seen, well, we've seen plenty of last-minute moments. We just come off the back of a GT Open race that witnessed certainly one of the most stellar overtakes we have ever seen in the history of the championship, and certainly the history of GT sport. Could we yet see something in the Euroformula Open Championship as well? If you've just tuned in, folks, you've missed the clinic. Just stick around. We're in for a fight. 2 tenths now separating out of Juju Noda as they now make their way that now around of turn 14. Obviously now Mason will be very much aware that the Noda Racing car is right behind him here, and this is where the slipstream comes into effect. That time is coming down, the delta cascading. It was 2 tenths, it went down to 4, but certainly now Juju Noda with the bags of confidence behind the wheel, the Japanese sensation, is delivering a clinic, but she still remains in second.
Yeah, last lap around they were fairly even on lap times. Noel Leon's lowered the benchmark for the fastest lap point as well, so I think Juju Noda's going to struggle to get that, especially while she's following in the wheel tracks of Josh Mason and in that dirty air as well. She spent most of this weekend just studying the back. She will be able to draw a brilliantly detailed picture of the back of one of these cars by the end of this weekend. She spent so much time just picking her moments and stalking the back of one of these cars all weekend long. And now she's finally been able to make the move stick on Jakob Bergmeister. Can she do the same to Josh Mason as well? And, you know, we've been talking about brilliant finishes. This has been the 25th anniversary of the GT Sport organisation. I can't think of a better way to celebrate it at the moment than the racing we've seen so far this weekend, and what could be a monumental, historic breakthrough victory for Juju Noda here. Just a 1/4 of a second separated them. The gap's gone out just a little bit as Noda lost time in that final sector. Must be so hard for her to follow through that tight, twisty, technical section of the racetrack, but these are the 2 crucial corners here for Juju Noda. There will be 2 laps remaining as they come across the stripe. The opportunities starting to run thin for Juju Noda. Doesn't look as close as she did last time round, but that's not going to stop Josh Mason going quite defensive, though. He's put it in the middle of the road. He's certainly feeling threatened right now. Moves back over to the racing line because he realizes that Noda's not quite close enough.
No, not at all. They come around turn 1 now as well, and Noda still refusing to leave the rear wing. It was in fact Josh Mason she was following right through race 2, when of course she was fighting for that second place. Well, she's got second this time, but they have got a different fight on their hands. This is for the race lead. This is for the race win. 2 laps to go here as they whip through turn 3 and head up through towards turn 4. Mason now still in front. Noda starting to eke away at the deficit here, but she's going to be left wanting as she now cruises through turn 4. Just look at how prosaic she is, right on that rear wing of Mason's car, who's doing everything to defend the position. We saw him earlier on the straight. He's doing his best, but naturally he could be left at bay here, certainly if Noda can get the run heading out to the final corner at 14, or maybe even before that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be brave. We've seen a few overtakes into turn 12 so far today, but I think that's going to rely on a mistake from Josh Mason, who so far this weekend has just been absolutely millimetre perfect. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far in this round. He's been doing such a sterling job, and we see again the gap just goes out a little bit in that middle sector. So Will she be close enough again? They're going to start the final lap very shortly, and opportunities really are starting to run thin now for Juju Noda, who just seems to be dropping back ever so slightly now as she cooked those rear tyres, running in the dirty air of Josh Mason. We'll find out shortly. It's a better run this time through the final corner, it must be said. Only 0.3 of a second separating them as they went over the line. The Noda Racing team watching on nervously, but Josh Mason realises an attack is coming here. What side does Noda go? Couldn't quite decide which way she was going to go. Went to the outside line. There's another opportunity coming here at turn 10, and Mason realises it because he's tied towards the inside. Noda, can she pull the same move off she did? Oh, they've made contact! They've made contact! Oh, what an unbelievable end to Juju Noda's weekend!
Unbelievable scenes here. They came together heading out of turn 2. Oh, what could have been here at this point? Juju Noda, commiserations. It was an absolutely stellar drive up to this point, but contact with Josh Mason heading through the first sector. They were literally wheel to wheel. Juju Noda was very brave in executing through towards turn 2, just could not quite unlock the door. The door was slammed shut and she had nowhere to go. Obviously a racing incident, I think, at this point.
Incident under investigation, so either they're going to say that Noda ran into the back, or was Mason moving under braking. That's what they'll be looking out for, and need to see it again. A hugely dramatic moment in the closing stages of this Euroformula Open race, which has provided so many thrills in this one race alone. And Josh Mason, it looks like he's just going to survive. It's probably damage on the back of that car, but she should just hang on to claim victory on the road.
Yeah, heading around turn 14 now. Josh Mason, it certainly is easy as 1, 2, 3. He took third, second, he takes first at Hungaroring in race 3, and certainly they'll celebrate. They have succeeded certainly 3 times on the podium for Josh Mason, but obviously commiserations to Juju Noda after a stellar drive right through in race 3, fighting back to second place, challenging for the lead like she only could, but unfortunately are coming together with Josh Mason, who was very fortunate, I think, to survive that incident.
Yes.
Obviously heading through towards turn 2, and nonetheless she brought it home, but still not ideal. Naturally as well, she's lost the rookie win in this exchange too. That does fall to Jakob Bergmeister, who does succeed in gaining a podium. Noel Leon, though, he finished third.
Yeah, amazing. So here it is again. She made a late decision to go from one side to the other. I think just misjudged that slightly. I'll tell you, I'm going to watch that back 6 or 7 times before I'm close to making my mind up about that. But it did seem to be, she moved from one side to the other. That's the reaction of the motor park crew, who saw Noda whack into the back of one of their cars. Very dramatic moment as she was up in the air momentarily as well. So for now, it is Josh Mason who got the call up on Tuesday. Can you come and race at Hungaroring this weekend? And ends up taking victory. And Noda, she's still trying to bring it back to the pits. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you just see the damage on the front wing is hanging by a thread, but it hasn't deterred her resilience. Obviously, with the suspension damaged on the car, you can just see the front right tyre was obviously lifted off the tarmac as such. We're now seeing the cars make their way through towards Parc Fermé. Josh Mason celebrating a third podium this weekend, and it's a race win as well to add to his already glistening career in the Euroformula Open Championship. This is confirmation of the results, folks. Josh Mason is your winner here in race 3 at Hungaroring. Jakob Bergmeister coming home in second as part of the rookie classification too. Noel Leon in third, Bryce Aaron in fourth, Francesco Simonazzi in fifth, Kian Shield sixth, Benjamin Berter in seventh, Vladimir Netashill comes home in 8th, Juju Noda, who comes a lap down as a result of the incident, finishing in 9th place. Fastest lap was taken by Noel Leon, and he'll take the point for that too. The Drivers' Championship now looks like this. Of course, it's been stretched out. Noel Leon, thanks to that third place, has now advanced his gap now to 42 points. Bryce Aaron in second as well. Francesco Simonazzi remains in third as well in the championship. But Josh Mason immediately sprinting over to his crew over at Motor Park and Crypto Tower, celebrating a wonderful result here to add to his result. Actually, that is Jakob Bergmeister, who I believe is celebrating there indeed. But yeah, he'll enjoy that one after certainly a stellar run and a first podium to his name as well, and also a rookie classification win. So no wonder he was so eager to celebrate. And we'll see Josh Mason coming through, I am sure. There he is now, making his way down through pit lane. And he'll make his way in towards Parc Fermé now as well. But I tell you what, we've had thrilling finishes today, haven't we, Chris?
Yes, we have. I will absolutely urge you to go and watch the end of that GT Open race and to rewatch this one over and over again, because that was some ending to a race. And Josh Mason enjoying his time on that, really taking his time and enjoying it. But wow, yeah, what a moment for Josh Mason. That's going to boost his chance. That is, you can't get his heartbeat up, can you?
No.
Fantastic.
Cool as a cucumber, as always, Josh Mason. And I'm sure his sister Alana will be absolutely thrilled as well. Thibaut Rovcal comes across to give him a hug too. Everyone at Motor Park, I'm sure, are delighted to have this young man back. Of course, racing last season for the team, was given the late call-up here at Hungaroring. Alana just going over what might have occurred, obviously, in that closing lap. There's Norleone, who comes home in third, and I think he'd be pleased with that after starting P6 on the grid. And the Mexican, I'm sure, will be looking forward to seeing how far he can advance his charge in the championship. Josh Mason, and he'll celebrate there with the crew and the team as well, standing by for a weigh-in, and I'm sure Alfredo Filipponi will be on hand to obviously interview the youngster. But a magnificent display, and I hope we do see him back here, Chris, because he is a fantastic driver, fantastic talent,
absolutely,
great personality, and certainly has every right to certainly fight for this title, I think, at this stage. Still more races to go.
Yep, well, I hope we do see him back. But in the meantime, Norleone third for Team Motor Park. Another podium to add to his impressive tally for the season. Jakob Bergmeister on the podium for the first time, again for Team Motor Park. And the rookie class winner there as well. So we've had two rookies on the overall podium so far today. But Crypto Tower Racing's Josh Mason, a first victory back in the Euroformula Open.
Josh Mason, back to the Euroformula and back to victory.
Yeah, like I said, brilliant weekend. 3 races, 3 podiums, you know, nothing we could ask better for. Yeah, the race was interesting. You know, for me to jump back in this car with different tyres, you know, that was what I had to learn. But no, the race was really good, except for the last lap. You know, that was really harsh racing for that. But no, really happy. Thank you for Crypto Tower for giving me an opportunity to come back and race this brilliant car again.
You continuing this season?
Not 100% sure yet. If the phone rings, then I'll be there. So, you know, we just had to take it step by step. But no, love this car, love the championship. Yeah, hopefully you can have me back again.
That's what we hope to. See you soon.
Well, what a drive. Certainly lots of action. Let's review it, folks at home. Again, we'll try and unpack this one. They got underway. All red lights were lit, certainly, and pedal to the metal certainly was ushered. Juju Noda, again, suffering at the very start, spinning the rear tyres. It certainly did open the door for Josh Mason, who then made his way to tackle Jakob Bergmeister, who had the early lead, of course. Mason going around the outside, taking the long way round, did so superbly, executed as well, hung on, and managed to actually take the lead in the initial and held onto it too. Simonazzi as well would come close together as well with Anna Bryce Aaron as they made their way through the initial stint. Simonazzi, unfortunately, running off track as he did so prior in previous races. Heading through turn 13, they would remain side by side before venturing through 14. Bryce Aaron, once again, having that inside line, the favourable one too, that would tee up yet another scrap, heading down through towards turn 1. Simonazzi would then try and muscle him side by side, but a clip there of the tyres would force him out wide and therefore be looking to recover. Bryce Aaron able to have a little bit of a gap, but there was more battles and a lot more contact further on as well. As they made their way through turn 5, we saw the two Motor Park cars come together, that of course being that of Kian Shields, as Norleone looked to try and move up a spot. Juju Noda moved herself up into second place after a comprehensive and brilliant overtake on fellow rookie classification driver Jakob Bergmeister as she tried to lay down a fight to that of Josh Mason. They came down through towards turn 2. Noda left it late, had a very wide outside line, but did enough to cut through the inside, much to the delight of the Noda Racing team, as she then persevered and tried to gain on P1's Josh Mason. They came together right at the very end. The final lap came together. They switched sides. They made their way through turn 2, and Mason, very fortunate not to come a cropper, but Juju Noda sustaining some severe damage to the front wing and the suspension, which unfortunately cost her the potential race win. But here is the podium, and certainly top 3, Noel Leone stands third, with Bergmeister in second, and the winning rookie with Mason on the top step.
So I might well change my mind every time I look at that replay, but it did seem like Mason just started to move right after Juju decided to go around the outside, and that's what gave us some impetus to go up the inside. But it's not up to me. The stewards will have much more angles than me to think about that, so I defer to their judgment. But in the meantime, we'll enjoy the podium and the British national anthem.
Congratulations, guys.
Well, congratulations to Josh Mason. A stellar result, certainly after a tremendous drive here this time around, making it a triple podium. Noel Leone, though, accepting third place and still reigns at the top of the championship. Jakob Bergmeister with his first podium of the season. He, of course, will be absolutely thrilled with that, and also taking a rookie win as well. Breathes a sigh of relief after what was a really dramatic race. And obviously, our race winner, Josh Mason, who once again stands tall on the top step of the podium in the Euroformula Open Championship. He will surely enjoy that. Hopefully we get to see him back again very, very soon, as well as a first place trophy going to the Crypto Tower team as well after taking the victory on that occasion. And we cannot forget Vladimir Netashil as well, but the rookie championship race win as well, going to that of Jakob Bergmeister, who collects 2 trophies for his efforts too. And last but not least, Vladimir Netashil, who of course secured the Gold Cup win. Unfortunately for Paolo Brancnik, suffering some real issues at the earlier part of the weekend, but a tremendous effort certainly by all involved, a cracking race towards the end, and certainly they'll have the champagne very shortly with pictures taken. But obviously, what can we expect when we go racing again very soon? Certainly more on the table. Paul Ricard up next in the series, and certainly we'll look forward to that. So you can join us at La Castellet when we go racing for round 4 of the championship. Do not miss it, folks. We'll see you then. Take care. Goodbye.
Congratulations.